There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Here we go.
I really like our new intro.
It's so lovely.
Warren's voice on there. Thank you so much, Warren.
Yes.
So good. Hello, everyone. Soul Wanderings Night. Welcome, welcome. We are really happy to be here tonight, actually. I mean, we're happy every week, but tonight is extra special.
They're small victories.
Things happening in the world. Wherever you're joining us from, hello, welcome. We see you gathering in. We are hanging out on KGRA Digital Broadcasting's YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as on kgradb.com. We have chat going on all of those platforms. If you are joining with us live Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
Uh-huh.
If you're catching a replay at some time in the future, hello and welcome.
From wherever it was that we did this live.
Yes. Happy to be here. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, AJ.
I feel so offbeat right now.
Well, there's reasons to be offbeat. Not in the regular rhythm and flow.
So, yeah, we talk about our week every week we come in. How was your week? How was your week? And we both had very interesting, the last 6 days of our lives have both been very interesting, and we'll get to that. We also had a really amazing guest last week.
We did.
And we're happy to report he'll be joining us again tonight. And not just in the second hour, he'll be joining us after the first break. So stick around because there's going to be a lot of good stories about remote viewing, Bigfoot, cryptids, all kinds of fragmental anomalies.
More stuff. I can't wait.
It's hard to pronunciate words with a stuffy nose.
It is true. It's like all the things that we talked about last week, but more.
Yes, but lots more. So if you didn't join us last week, it's okay. You don't need to know what's going on. You'll get the gist of it. However, we'd really like for you to listen to last week's episode. If you choose to do so in the second hour, we hung out with Dr. Simeon Hein, and we got a little insight about who he is and what he's up to. And we're going to get more into learning about his research and experiences tonight, which will be lovely because last week, by the end of the show, I was like, wait, that wasn't enough. Like we really wanted more. Hi, everyone.
And guess we get it. We get more this week.
Yes, we get more. He'll be joining us for an hour and a half instead of an hour. Thanks for all the hellos here in the chats. You guys are awesome. So, yes, we're talking quiet. I don't have a lot of energy. It was the first time out in the world since we did the show last week. No,
Yeah.
I did have a day. I didn't catch a bug as quickly as you did. Mine came on a day or two after. But
Yeah.
Natalie and I got hit with something very abrasive. Yeah, kind of knocked the wind out of us, and we both got. I really don't like you saying sick. I really don't like saying that.
I don't like saying that either, but it's not
we were not
well.
okay. We're still healing. I'm still in the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first time out in the world since last Thursday. So I had to be here for soul wanderings. That's a must.
That's a must. So we have to work really hard to get to be here.
Yeah.
What you did.
Well, we both did. We
Yeah.
both are going through something.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
and for I do kind of pride myself, let's say. I try to take really good care and keep my immune system charged, and this just snuck through. I don't know.
Same.
It was a kind of a surprise. Because I did come down with something, felt something during last Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday was pretty out of it. And then off and on. So it's interesting when you think about it, and you've got to do a show and think, and then you're like, okay, the brain is moving along at its own sort of pace.
Yes.
I remember at one point just thinking, there's there was a point where just realized that the amount of control that we think we have often just is just a little bit grandiose, if I want to say it that way.
Right.
That there's times where we're just on the ride.
Mhm.
And when you're on the ride, there's nothing you can do but kind of surrender to the flow when you're in at a certain point.
Right.
So that's part of what I know I was feeling. It's part of my wisdom. I was thinking, well, could I come up with something else? But I guess that's pretty wise to
Yeah.
just to say there's times where you're just in it, and so you can't fight the flow too much. You just have to go with it.
Right. It's true.
Do the best you can.
I have moments where I'm down because of MS where I have to just literally surrender and just it is what it is, right? I just got to kick back and just let it go through. But having MS and then having whatever this is um was really intense. And I realized so much during the last 5 days. I'm like, I'll start crying if I even talk about it. I didn't even think I'd bring this up, but the amount of gratitude that I have for my body, just like going through what I went through, like we don't even need to get into details, y'all. It was a lot. I really felt like I was fighting for my life. And I know that sounds dramatic, but when your body temperature gets so crazy where you're like shaking and passing out and like you literally can't even move your hand or your arm because it's just too much. You don't know what death looks like in those situations.
No.
I mean, anything could have happened and I'm just like just loving my body through this process. And at the same time, it also was very beautiful, like realizing how amazing and how strong a body is and what we put it through. I'm always building my immune system. Being autoimmune compromised, I'm always building my immune system. I do not get colds. If I feel something coming on, I'm really good about getting rid of it like within
quick.
that day. Like it just isn't a thing. But like you said, we just got hit out of nowhere and it was brutal. And normally I would just be like, oh, well, it's bed rest time. I'm going to watch some TV. I'm going to watch some YouTubes. I'm going to listen to some music. And I couldn't do any of that. I
Yeah.
literally could not even function. Like I literally just laid there and a lot of times I slept. Like I don't know how I slept as much as I've slept, but days of sleeping. Like I think my partner kept checking on me like, is she alive? Because I mean, it was a lot. So, I'm grateful for my body. And the lesson that I learned this week was really being in that, acknowledging that our bodies are so fragile and they're so strong. And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful.
So it's like the fragility is the fragile as far as like something can get through and bust through.
Yeah.
And be already like breached as far as the immune system goes, except it's not. And then the immune system still has a get go of.
Right.
We have millennia in this immune system in our body. It's been evolved over lots and lots and lots of millennium. So
Right.
even grateful for those that went before, how we've gotten to this point to have this whole, I heard it said once that if we had looked all the way down at the cellular level, it looks like war
Ugh.
in our cells
Yeah, I could
or
see that.
chaos. And yet it's symmetry and all the things working together. It kind of just makes you feel awestruck. At least it does for me sometimes, going, okay. And then it puts some strong perspective out there that says, okay, so you go until if there's sickness that happens, it happens.
Right.
And you
Take your vitamins.
Take your vitamins. That's right.
Eat your fruits and vegetables. I mean, I do all those things anyway, but
so true. Drink
grateful
lots.
for natural medicine. Like I remember, so we have this, she's been on the show, Kelly Adams.
Yes.
She is an RN, a botanist, an herbalist. She's magic.
She is magic.
And I had remembered this little recipe that she told me about, that if you were to get something, you need to start taking this right away. So I mixed it all up. I was taking that every day. And I really think that has cut this in half, definitely. Really helped. If y'all want to know what it is, it's seriously just garlic and honey.
Raw garlic and honey.
Raw garlic and honey. And you put it in your fridge, because if you don't put it in your fridge, you keep it on your counter, it actually ferments and becomes a probiotic.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't mix up a bunch of it. I did mix it up in little batches.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
I just did a little jar and put it in the fridge.
That's a good thing to know.
And you can take it when you're not sick. It helps boost your immune system. So take a teaspoon a day.
Teaspoon a day. Well, how much did you take during the year?
I took a teaspoon several times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
required more than just one a day.
I'm still fighting this. I am not done yet. I just don't have a fever and the body aches and the chills anymore. Definitely still have a head thing going on because I'm nice and stuffy.
It was like a voice for radio.
And not only that, like my body is so tired. I really could fall asleep just talking to you guys right now. But I've got my tea. Thank you, Starbucks.
That's right. It's good.
So yes.
Garlic is an amazing food. Is that what I was wondering? Is that a superfood?
It's gotta be. I don't know. They probably don't want us to know what it is. Just like they don't want us to know how amazing eggs are for us. You know,
Right.
There's a lot of things that they just don't want us to know about.
Eggs are very fascinating. I didn't realize. So just as a random thing, because we're talking about random things, I remember watching a video one time of how they took these eggs that were laid from backyard hens, and you didn't wash them, but you could put them in lime, this massive jar with lime, and then they would last for like a year. Lime.
You can can eggs too.
Oh.
Like you can actually can eggs and put them.
So this wasn't with limes, the fruit, not the fruit limes, but with that chemical lime. I think that's what it was.
Oh, like
so that
mineral.
You store them, you preserve them in a big jar, and they just stay fresh.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm homestead. I have this fantasy I could homestead. Maybe.
Well,
I grew up like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so dreams.
Yes.
We could do this in the middle of nowhere. Should we run away together, Natalie?
Sure, let's do that. We'll just homestead. We'll have chickens and maybe a few other things. Plant a garden. You could do the herby stuff.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Gather wildflowers and
Yep, that's me.
Make the oils that you do, which is good.
the oils and the foods. So, natural medicine, our bodies are amazing. Recap. So grateful to be here. Thank you for holding this time and space with me so that I had a reason to get out of bed and be with all of these lovely humans tonight.
That's right. Make a go at the show.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So, our guest tonight, who all checked in last week? I know that we weren't able to be on YouTube because there were some issues, but did anyone listen? Did you guys get to know our guest, Dr. Simeon Hein? Because he was awesome. Really good, down to earth guy. I learned a lot from him actually. Even though like it's all scientific and over my head, like I actually grasped a lot of the concepts. He had a great sense of humor mixed with, oh, there goes my voice. A great sense of humor mixed with all this intellect. And so, and then all the curiosity of the things that he was talking about, it just made for great conversation. And I actually thought about it quite a bit. And one of my favorite things that were brought up last week is when he was talking about Bigfoot. And we were like, but what is Bigfoot? Like, what
Right.
kind of, where does it, this energy originate from? And are they afraid of us or are we afraid of them? Like, you know, the conversation, I don't remember the exact words, but I remember him saying, and not quote unquote, but basically that they aren't the ones that have put a box around themselves. Like we have put a box around ourselves. And they're not hiding from us. We're trying to hide from them because multidimensional beings or fractal, what did he call them? Fractal,
Fractals.
yes, fractal anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever these beings are, they are just what they are.
Right.
It's us that have not been living up to what our true potential and meaning of existence is. And I just thought, you know, we could go on and on about humans and how, you know, superficial and just really crazy we really are, but that's not what I want to get to. The fact that he said that we put ourselves in a box. We're the ones not living how we're meant to live.
Right. To our potential.
Right. They are. And I never had thought of it that way, but I also hadn't known a lot about Bigfoot. I'm going to cough. Do you want to?
Yes. So what I found was
Excuse me.
interesting is that a lot of times, well, in rudimentary knowledge about Bigfoot is that it's some large mammal and they're just very, they hide out a lot and they don't want to be seen. But he was saying, well, no, they, well, one, I remember picking up that us as humans are basically humans. We're very reactive. We're actually pretty violent. We really are very violent to things that we don't understand. And we just as soon kill something that we don't understand than to
Understand it.
right. Unless there's some, because he said that there's people that actually have established relationships with Bigfoot.
Right.
And that they like have a sort of friendship, which is fascinating to me. But even watching, like us as humans, I sometimes shake my head. I guess that it's, so I shake my head about the fact that we do turn so violent and are ready to destroy things that we do not understand. We just collectively would destroy it.
Right.
Because we feel like everything is there threatening us or something. It's really,
He just
we
had
have a lot of
different
a lot of evolution to go. Yes.
You think, well, actually, we haven't been around as long. We haven't been around that long in the big scheme of things.
Oh, that's true.
Right. But even in the amount of time that we have been around, we really have not evolved.
No, we're still killer. I heard it said one time that we're killer monkeys, which it does seem like they were very true.
Accurate. That feels very accurate.
Just watch the news at all and just watch the news and we can see how that still is happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it is very unfortunate. But his viewpoint on how these beings, like just the examples he gave to us are different from what I've heard any other person share. And we don't normally have regular guests talking about cryptids and Bigfoot, although I mean they're here. It's just not a regular topic we talk about because the station covers a lot of that.
Right.
We like the journey stories, but his whole life is about this. His all his experiences revolve around these type of experiences. And so
Right.
it's really neat getting to know him and like all of the things that he has experienced through resonant viewing and the people he's interviewed. He's the author of, I think, 4
Monsters.
books.
Oh,
Yeah. Dark Matter Monsters, which is his newest one. Opening Minds was his first one, and he wrote a book called Black Swan Ghosts and Planetary Intelligence. And so and 27 years of schooling, he said. Do you remember that?
yes, because he's a sociologist, or he studied sociology,
Yeah.
and which is
something you're interested in.
yes. I find myself, if I had stayed in school like 27 years, I can't even imagine, all the way to a doctorate, because I'm just not cut out for that. But I studied sociology. I found social dynamics to be really fascinating, and a lot of what he talked about, because he was in statistical stuff. And from what I remember when I was going through university and studying sociology, that I really loved phenomenology, which is kind of the study of the phenomenons. But that's not so mainstream. And I do find that a lot of times in scientific realms, they throw out the phenomenons so that they can keep it more mainstream, because the phenomenons are really hard to deal with.
Mhm.
They're just the unexplainable.
They're
So
the most magical.
they are the most
They're the ones that
magical.
we're always trying to find the answers to.
Right. Or just to observe it
Mhm.
and to watch it, and instead of trying to like think it and wrap the whole brain around it, it's like maybe we just will learn by observing.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what he did with a lot of his work about Bigfoot. And the one thing I do find is you have a connection because you've learned remote viewing, and I've just been listened to it, been more of an interested party from afar for years.
Yeah, so I studied remote viewing last year and I only took one course. I took a trans-dimensional remote viewing course with Michelle Freed, who's been a guest on our show. I plan to take more courses with her. They just fall on days that aren't convenient for me at this time. Bummer.
Bummer.
Because it really is. Oh, I learned so much. And I want to practice it more, and it's easier when I can practice with like the group. And so she does have like that going on right now. Again, just on days that haven't worked out for me, but I know it will. But while I was doing it, I was blowing myself away. Just the things that were coming up because it's so undescribable when you just get a target number and you go in remote view just by a number. I mean, they just give you a random number and you go and you do your session and what you come up with and all the similarities to the target when it's shown to you. It's like how there's no way you can just randomly make this up out of a million trillion things you could put down on a piece of paper through this session. Would you know this information?
This
So, I mean, there's something there. And obviously, just like we were talking about last week, I mean, the Secret Service uses it, the CIA uses it, all these people use it because it works. We're tapping into something they don't all want us to tap into. I think if anyone has a desire or willingness to want to learn, remote viewing, there's several different types. Do it. I mean, it really is
Fascinating.
it really is quite cool.
Worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it. I don't take a lot of courses anymore, but I've always been drawn to it, and I thought it would be appropriate for what, I've been studying end of life and NDEs and now SDEs, and it felt like it could go hand in hand. So it just felt good to take it when it was appropriate to what I'm really invested in right now, the last couple of years. But it does bring up a lot of stuff. And when our guest comes on here shortly, he'll be able to share, like he's sharing with us tonight, stories, photos, more things we didn't hear last week.
So awesome.
It'll be so good. When we return, hopefully he'll be here with us. He should be joining us any moment. So stay close, everyone. When we get back, we'll get to know Dr. Simeon Hein just a little bit more.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small esoteric getaways are limited and do feel fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I am AJ.
And I'm Natalie.
And we are your hosts of the show.
Yes.
Our guest still has not arrived, but he'll be joining us here shortly. So when I said He'll be here early. I was kidding. No, he's coming. We've been in contact all day today, so just be patient. Until then, you'll get us.
Just yes. As we're still wandering through our post not feel well good mindset.
I feel like a new version of me. I'm coming out of a cocoon. Really, every time
Butterfly.
that something does happen like this, it really does put you in a very perspective place, right?
Yeah. In my experience, I've re-engaged with my health.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it's the thing you can't really buy.
No, absolutely not. And I won't say what's really happening in the world because we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube or anything.
That's right. So,
But someone may not be trying to kill us. I'm not sure.
although sometimes it makes sense when there may be someone that is trying to, or forces at play, or
I mean, there's something going on in the world.
there
all
definitely is.
over the world.
Oh, my heart just goes to people in Ohio, like that train wreck. That's just, I just feel that one.
Yeah, so there's little things like that happening all over the place. All over the
All
place.
over the place. That's right.
All right. But we won't get into that vibration because we're going to talk about some really cool things.
Yay!
Really cool things. As we mentioned before the break, Dr. Simeon Hein, the author of several books, but the most recent, Dark Matter Monsters, Cryptids, Ball Lightning, and the Science of Secret Life Forms, is joining us tonight. If you didn't catch last week's show, make sure you go and get that replay, because you'll get a little introduction to him and what he's all about. Tonight, we get to dive in a little deeper and hear some experiences and stories. And we even get some visuals.
There he is.
Welcome back, Simeon. So happy to have you with us again.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry for the delay. I was using the wrong link. I was using your link from the previous show.
Well, we're happy you're here.
There's
We're
always
like,
a
he'll
reason.
join us at some point. He's there somewhere.
Yes, I was logged in and it said show's ended. Anyway, we're here and figured it out. I figured it out.
With all those years of schooling.
Yes. Duh.
That's awesome. Well, we hope that you had a fantastic week. We talked about how much we enjoyed your time with us on the show last week. We don't generally ask guests to come back like the week after. That's not a thing that we normally do. It's usually a few months out. We do have a waiting list, actually.
Yeah.
But we just had so much fun and thought the conversation was just really cool.
So much to talk about. It's just so much to talk about. Yeah.
So much to talk about. We're going to let you talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, the show is all yours. We have a break at the top of the hour, and then the second hour is commercial free. You get to share all of your goodness, and I know we'll have questions, and the chat room will have questions, but you have so many cool things to share with us.
Yes. It's just what happened in my life. I mean, I didn't plan it this way. I didn't plan to go into all these topics, guys. It's just what happened following the little threads, and you say, well, this is real. I mean, I can see it. And you just keep following it. And you say, I don't really care what other people think. I've been trained to follow evidence. And the evidence leads from here to there, to one topic to the next. And then you think like 25 years later, well, there has to be some underlying principles behind this. It's not, the universe doesn't just throw out all these unrelated things. Not in my experience. It's like, about fungus, and then about mushrooms, and then you realize that they're the same thing, just a different expression.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that these things are not, it's part of the same tree branches are all connected to the same trunk. And they're all connected to the same roots. And sometimes those roots connect to other roots of other trees. I even read recently that in groups of trees, there's like mother trees that send carbon to the other trees
Mm-hmm.
and nutrients. So what looks like a lot of separate trees are actually connected under the ground. And that's how I look at all these topics. I'm not trying to make them fit together. It's just that they want to fit together.
Or that they just fit together.
They fit together.
Yeah.
And it's our minds that say, oh, well, this is one topic. Can keep your Bigfoot out of my UFO. UFO out of my remote viewing. This is serious. We're doing remote viewing. We're not looking at UFOs, you know. Keep your ball lightning away from my acoustic guitars. It doesn't want to do that, guys. I'm just sorry. It just, these are all, they're, when you get one, you get the other. And to me, that says that there's some fundamental underlying principles connecting all these seemingly separate topics that we call paranormal that maybe our minds don't want to deal with, but it just keeps popping up again and again, century after century, decade after decade. And we might as well be adults here and admit we don't know what's going on. So we just
And have actual real conversations about it.
Real conversations about it and not be afraid of it. And ask with some sincerity, what is going on here?
Exactly.
You know,
and I love that you're doing that. You're really doing that. And you're talking about the connection between all of them. And like you were saying earlier, there are people who separate them, like they put them in individual boxes as if they have no similarities, no connection to one another. That'd be like saying none of us are connected.
No, that's right. And I appreciate your open-mindedness, both of you, to having me back again. It's taken a lot of effort over the years to do this, you know, basically on your own. But there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of credible people. And you talk to them at conferences and you start putting the puzzle pieces together. We all like jigsaw puzzles, right?
Right.
I do.
Yeah. And this is like putting these pieces together over many decades. My parents once said, how long are you going to give this thing that you're doing? Right? Because I guess our parents want us, they were kind of programmed by their parents to want to do something that's more predictable, right? You have this ordinary job, you get this income every 2 weeks or whatever. And, you know, my path just wasn't to do that. It was just more to piece these pieces together because it matters to people, because people have experiences, and people I know from your neck of the woods and all over have had experiences, and they come to me and I talk to them, and they don't understand what happened to them. They don't understand why they have missing time. They don't understand what that thing was they encountered in the woods.
Yeah.
They don't know what that light was over their house for a couple hours. And they don't know why they feel like when they were a kid that they encountered these little beings that were also very short that wanted to give them classes in galactic history and Earth history. They don't understand this. So the reason we have to do this is the way you and I were brought up does not describe the reality that people say they're experiencing. And I don't think that's fair to people to tell them that there's something weird about them, because so many people have had these experiences. What's weird is to be normal. That's what's weird.
I agree.
Because so many people I've talked to in confidence have told me, scientists, engineers, have told me about things they've seen that don't make sense, that we haven't ever been told about. So you realize a lot of people are experiencing another reality that in public they're not talking about. They're talking about maybe on shows like this or at conferences, at dinner buffets, but then they don't want to come forward with it again. So how many people are out there just in our society alone who've experienced?
Hundreds and hundreds. There has to be.
Hundreds and thousands. And it's not fair to them to tell them to keep their stories repressed when they're so similar.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think about all the times if someone finds out what I do for a living, how many times people will open up and share their story for the first time because they didn't know that they could talk about it or have someone not think that they were crazy. And I'm just like one of thousands that do the stuff that I do, right? Like I'm sure you have many, many, many stories, which we'll get to, but
right. So
having a safe place to talk about them, I just think
Right.
It's so important for us to be able to open up and have these experiences and have them be the norm to talk about them.
No, right. I think if we all start sharing, we'll see that there's a lot in common. This isn't so weird after all. It's only weird because we don't talk about it.
Exactly.
And it seems somewhat different, strange. But you see, by having conversations like this, we can develop a vocabulary to see what we have in common. And then we'll realize we've been all having the same experiences, even if many of us have forgotten about it. Right?
Right.
What do you mean forgotten about it? So is that a normal thing? People forget about these profound experiences?
Well, as your comment says right here, programmed. We've all been programmed to believe in a certain consensus reality. And then there's distribution of power in society. And some people have more influence than others to influence our attitudes and beliefs. And we know now from all the research done in the internet, there's even companies designed to influence our opinions, to create news stories and to spin things. And they make it look like it's a news story, but they're being paid by a client and we know about that, but it goes pretty deep, and it goes even to an unconscious level where we've absorbed the belief systems of our parents and teachers and other authority figures when we were kids. And it's not our fault. We're just kids, and grow up, we show up, and we have our mouths open. We need to be fed. We need to have a safe place to be at night. So we play the game to fit in. But by the time we're adults, like we're here, you have to start to wonder whether that story was just incomplete. Just incomplete. We're not saying it's wrong or that anyone did anything wrong by telling us this story, but there's a lot more going on in our reality. And it seems that we forget about things that don't fit that consensus reality. I noticed it's happened even with experiences I've had in the crop circles and other places like we'll talk about tonight, where you experience something and then it didn't really fit anywhere into your ideas about reality. And I even forgot about a ball of light experience I had that I didn't put into dark matter monsters, even though it's all about ball lightning. I saw one of these once in the sky, and I finished the whole book, published it, and realized I hadn't even talked about that story, where I actually had it on video camera, and I put it on my YouTube site, which people can go to. Just look up my name, and you can look at that video of something below a cloud just glowing and typical ball lightning orb. I mean, something. And yet I didn't really remember it that well, but I videotaped it. So in this movie, A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, which is a very good documentary that you can find on streaming channels. I mean, it's very good just of the Bigfoot encounters. It's beautiful photography. I know the people that made this documentary, and they asked me to be on the sequel, which is coming out on Memorial Day, which I don't know too much about. It's just going to be the second version of this. But what they said in that first version of A Flash of Beauty is that they had psychiatrists at the end of the documentary saying that not only do people have PTSD from their Bigfoot encounters, and I actually have friends who've encountered them and they have PTSD. One of them told me she's just starting to go for walks again outdoors because it's just something we're not prepared for, to encounter them up close. They're just huge, and there's something hypnotic about their stare that feels like they're kind of pulling you into their world, whether you want to be part of their Bigfoot society or not. They seem to like to pull people in to, I don't know, hang out with you or whatever they do with people. But it's not just PTSD that people have from their cryptid. And it can be worse than this. If you encounter other types of cryptids, you might not ever want to go outside ever again. It's just so shocking. And I've heard these encounters too, and people never want to go out at night ever again. They need to take medication. Those people are not going to be talking on news channels. That you can hear their voices quivering just as they describe their encounters on these podcasts. So we don't hear from them. They're an underrepresented minority. But it's actually more severe than that. These psychiatrists said that you won't remember these encounters because it doesn't fit anywhere in your mind about what's real. There's just nowhere to put that. And the brain has defense mechanisms, the conscious mind, to forget experiences that are too scary, which means that we might have had encounters, all of us, that we're not remembering with cryptids, with Bigfoot, with ETs. And maybe they weren't trying to be scary. Maybe they were just being who they were. Even though a dog man, maybe they're just being snarly, but they're not being, they don't feel like they're being mean. They're just looking at you, but you know, they have fangs and snout. They're huge. Maybe to them, it's
not that scary.
Yeah, it's not that scary. Maybe they're just being who they are, even when they don't attack people, which they do sometimes. But even if they're just there and they're the more docile type, they could scare you into not remembering it. So I have been out many times camping in the woods, backpacking by myself. I have never seen or experienced anything strange out there, even though I believe all the friends I have and witnesses and people in the Front Range area here in Colorado who've told me they've had these experiences, and some of them were pretty dicey. When, you know, they come up to your tent, throw rocks, start damaging the tent, pull you out of the tent, things like this. I haven't experienced any of that, even though all the time I've spent alone in the woods. I have never had anything creepy, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. But if it did happen, I might not have remembered it. You see, I mean, they could have been right there on the trail, and you're going to delete it. And the reason I say that is I have friends in the area that have gone hiking who've had missing time where they can't explain why they ended up back in the parking lot, even with other people. All of a sudden, they're just back in the parking lot after hiking down a trail, and they don't know what happened, and a couple hours have gone by. Did they encounter something that their brains either were erased or their minds, the defense mechanisms, deleted these events? So this is why change can be slower than we think it will be, is that it's not just that we have the larger society trying to change the storyline to convince us we saw a bear or swamp gas. It's your own brain trying to keep order. So when you get up the next day, you can do what you need to do without too much interruption. So we have a lot of reasons why it's like a quantum effect. You know, I mean, quantum means it's quantized into little bunches rather than being continuous. We're kind of quantized into an ordinary reality. It's for many reasons, but it can change. And I think conversations like we're having here and like your show and other podcasts slowly make people feel like it's okay to talk about this, even at the fear of being ridiculed by neighbors or friends. And think about employers. I mean, do you want to lose your job over pilots? I've talked to pilots. A lot of United pilots live in the Boulder, Denver area. I've talked to them. They've seen things. They tell me about the weird things they've seen. They radioed the other planes. Everyone saw it. Strange UAP light phenomena up there, but they never mentioned it when they got on the ground.
Right. Right. We're just so conditioned, aren't we?
We are.
But I love that we're talking about it now.
Yeah, it's the time. It's the time to do it. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's do it.
I was going to ask you last week because you had talked about, you've interviewed and talked to so many people who've had experiences with Bigfoot, but now I know that you yourself have not. Do you, when you go into the wilderness or wherever you're going to your hiking and camping and all that stuff, the big old beautiful state of Colorado, do you go in with an intention of looking and seeking out Bigfoot? Is that something that you do in advance? Or is that what you're wanting to do? Or you're just going about one of your passions, like going out and hiking and camping and things like that?
No, it's a good question. I mean, I don't think Bigfoot was on my radar till a few years ago, until I saw that the sightings were happening right around here when I went to the Bailey Sasquatch Outpost Museum. And I saw the map of the encounters and how close they were to Boulder over the whole area. So I was open to these ideas. I normally, when I go out, it hasn't actually been most of my life to look for anything. It's just to enjoy the outdoors and be around nature and to kind of feel that sense of expansiveness we feel in nature, of connection, more than anything else. But now that I know how those creatures are so good at hiding, I'm actually looking around more carefully. As your comment just said, they can take many forms. They have a cloaked form. So now when I'm out, I'm looking for saran wrap, like images between trees and things that I probably wouldn't have looked for, because one of the things I noticed is that people can catch them if you put a camera on your back. there is video of them standing up behind rocks and things as you walk by. Like they're really good at being stealthy, and they may have been around the whole time, but they just sort of avoid people for the most part. So I'm looking more carefully. Now, talking about intention, I do have this plan to have a conference up in Estes Park where we get a group together and we do RV, and we see where they're going to be in Estes Park and go out on some of those trails and see if we can make some contact. Just like I've done with Stephen Greer with this CE5 technique. I've been out with Stephen a couple times over the years, and we did see things. One of them was up north of Laramie at the McGuire Ranch in Wyoming, where, I mean, I didn't think you could take 80 people out to a field to see anything, but something really large and bright came right over, and it shone a light down us like a flashlight 20 years ago, before drones existed as we know them now. But I mean, something really bright came over way up, and a light came down from it like a laser. And I saw that. So I think the CE5 techniques actually work, and we're interested to see if we can do it with, other types of life, not just seemingly extraterrestrials.
How often do you go out and research? Seems like you're pretty active.
Yeah, I like to go out fairly often. There's trails around Boulder all over here, so it's only a few minutes to get to the trails, and people have seen them just off the parking lots. They didn't report them right away, but they've seen the Bigfoot type creatures just near the parking lots of all these trails in the Front Range. Anyone who knows the Boulder area would know these. Up and down the Front Range, they're just trailheads, and it's very easy to get to them and take a hike. And I think the belief is you have to go really deep into the backwoods to see them, but it's not necessarily true. They can come down if they're curious for whatever reason and show up pretty close by. So I guess the answer to your question is I'm paying attention now. I don't know if it's my intention to want to see one. I just feel like when the time is right, they'll show up. Do you know what I mean? I like a more natural approach. I did go on a Bigfoot adventure weekend from the Sasquatch Outpost last summer in July, where we went out to an area around Bailey where they're known to be, where they've been seen, and they're gifting sites, where you leave gifts for them and they will rearrange your puzzles and things. Pretty remote locations, off the trail.
Gifting sites, huh?
Gifting sites where you leave things and they will leave things in return. So we did go out, and that wasn't intention. Well, I sort of going to see one and so forth. Well, another group 3 miles from us saw them with their thermal imagers. They heard them. And we had actually been invited by that group. They said, hey, you want to come with us? And I just knew they were going to see something. But we had already been out that afternoon with our group, and I felt like we should stay with our group. So we said, no, we've already got our group. But I knew I just had that feeling. They had that glint in their eyes, like they had like something was going to happen. Our group, it was just really quiet. I mean, not strangely quiet, just ordinary woods quiet at night. And there was no sound. So I think the time I did go out, we didn't actually see anything, but whatever.
I think that's so neat. Gifting sites.
Right.
You brought that up last week, and I wanted to ask about that. That's actually in my list of questions.
What do you gift to Bigfoot?
Well, there's a series of books written by the author Carter Bouchard, and his books are on Amazon, and I can recommend his books. He's been on different podcasts. He's an excellent researcher from the Arkansas, Missouri area. I've never spoken with him. I think I have something in common with him. I think he is a drummer. I play guitar, so there's a kind of a musical connection there. But he's an excellent researcher. He goes out in his neck of the woods, and I mean, he has interesting pictures people have from their trail cams. And he talks about these gifting relationships people. He's not the only one, but if you want to read about it, his books go into this. And he feels like the Bigfoot enjoy things that they don't really have out in their natural environment, like peanut butter, apples, sweets. And
Sweets. Everybody loves sugar.
The sweets. They seem to like sweets. I mean, they seem mammalian like us to some degree. So they seem to like this, and you leave these things for them. And if they like you, they will leave things back, which often are crystals, rocks, and sometimes mummified field mice buried in grass.
Sometimes.
You know how delicious those are.
That is so neat. No, that is really so neat.
They have their ideas of what gifts are. And sometimes people in campsites, if they interact with them, they'll find fish on their picnic tables in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it can be a variety of things. And that's what makes it challenging to study, is that sometimes people feel it's such a personal relationship, they don't want to talk about it. It's like a friend, like a special friend.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what it starts to feel like. And the thing about the gifting relationships you have to keep in mind is if you stop leaving this out, they can get ticked off.
You get roped in.
Yeah,
It's a years and years long of a friendship.
yeah, they don't like it if you stop, and they can start vandalizing things.
They like commitment.
They do. They're relational. Very relational, and you
That is very interesting. How
Oh.
fascinating is that?
And so there was this gifting site up near Bailey where they had left puzzles and things, and they Jim Meyer showed us a picture when the whole thing had been rearranged, and it was pretty off the beaten path, as they say. I can't imagine anyone would have found it, short of someone who knew where it was doing that. I guess that's always a possibility, but it looked like they had been rearranged. But you see this everywhere throughout North America. It's the same thing. They'll rearrange puzzles, and they like things like Rubik's Cubes, and they're smart, and they like to play with these things, and that's what people often do with them. So, yep.
So cool. Visiting with Dr. Simeon Hein tonight, and there's still another hour of wandering. So stay close, everyone, and we'll be back for the second hour commercial free.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small, esoteric getaways are limited and do fill up fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings with AJ and Natalie. We are heard on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, which you can go and check out at kgradb.com. Our show's there. Several other amazing shows are there, and new shows are added quite often, actually. There's also a members only area. So if you guys want to get a little discount, head over to the shows and hosts tab. Go over to Wednesday night and click on Soul Wanderings. It's there where you will see membership access. So it'll automatically input the code for you to get 30% off your annual or monthly subscription. And there's a lot of cool stuff there. And I know they're currently creating some more goodies.
Ooh,
I
it's
know.
good.
That is good. I love that. I love that for all of us because this is all really good stuff to have in our brains. None of that other media garbage.
Right? It's good show content.
Tonight we're hanging out with Dr. Simeon Hein, and as we are visiting with our guest for the second week in a row, thank you, Dr. Simeon Hein. So good. You guys will see the links so you can learn more about him, grab one or all of his works, and if you are not watching us live, make sure you visit mountbaldy.com, mountbaldy.com, to learn more about him and all of the goodness that he's up to. And for the second hour, we're going to be hearing more stories about Simeon's experiences and those he has interviewed himself. And we also get visuals tonight.
Yes.
We get to hear stories with pictures. Thank you for coming back for week 2. We're so happy that you're here.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me back.
So we've been talking about Bigfoot a lot. I know that's one of your big things that you study, but you also study other anomalous things as well. And one of them is crop circles. We didn't talk about crop circles last week. And so I think this week, let's get into them a little bit. I know nothing about crop circles. Do you, Natalie?
No, just what I've seen and heard throughout the years on different
what I've seen on like
shows
Ancient Aliens and
right.
whatever. Yeah.
I mean, remember really watching a lot of different shows on it years ago, but I haven't tapped into that recently.
Blow our minds.
Yes.
We're ready.
Go for it.
Yes. What to say? So this is where I did my field work on the ground. Boots on the ground was in the UK with the crop circles. I mean, I didn't know what these were when I took my remote viewing class in 1996. It's just that this was a target towards the end of the week, or I think it might have been the second class, one of these crop circles. And this is 1996. I just felt, I was curious what they were. In this RV session, I got strange energies and shapes, but I didn't know what that meant. So when I came across someone named Ron Russell, who was giving crop circle tours in 1996, I thought I should go over to the UK and see these for myself. Just at a minimum to get feedback on my RV targets. And, at the time they were a total mystery. No one knew who, how they were made or what they meant or anything. Yeah. So that's Ron Russell there. And we started I went with him in 97 and I brought over this static meter. And we would measure static in the circles. That's him using one of these field grade static meters. Oh, and if you go back a second, you'll see that camcorder he was holding. That camcorder, wait a minute. Hey, slow down, guys. Well, that camcorder melted in a crop circle.
No way.
The electronics. Yeah, he put it down in another formation. It might have been this formation. I don't know if this is the one, but he put that camcorder down on the ground and it stopped working and it was very hot. And when he sent it back to Sony, they said that the solder joints had melted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, you can just show them in order here. That's fine. I'll just let you know what's ready to go to the next one. So that camcorder melted, and that showed me in 97. Wow, what could melt a camcorder? I mean, that normally doesn't happen, right? Have you ever had a camcorder?
Never.
Electronics melt? Like a surge of energy had gone through it right in the middle of the circle. Very interesting. Yeah.
Right in the middle. Wow.
So the next photo, so we did get strange static readings. I mean, they were higher than outside in the wheat out, the standing crop. In the flat area, we found static charges, and we thought, what could be causing that? Sometimes they were quite strong. And you can see that the wheat is laying all in one direction. It's in material sciences, it's called anisotropy. It's directional. They're all kind of laid down in that spiral sort of directional shape. Yeah.
Wow.
You can just show them in random order. That's fine.
Go ahead to the next one. Yeah.
So this is Colin Andrews, the crop circle researcher that was studying this long before I was. He got involved in the 80s. And he is really quite an authority on the subject. He's from the UK, lives in Connecticut now. This is him with his camera. We noticed that these crop circles would affect our cameras and batteries. And here he is in a circle around 2009 and south of Marlborough, UK. And here his camera was affected. Right there. Screen would not go on. So we saw over the years many cameras and batteries get affected by these circles. I mean, every year. We would go in, and not every single circle would do this, but I mean, it's pretty weird to have your cameras and batteries affected by wheat, which is generally pretty inert, right? I mean, you don't think of wheat as a pretty electrically active substance. And here it is zapping cameras. That other photo you showed was one of our tour guests in 2009-10, who also, that Nokia phone, she saw that weird swirl all of a sudden appear.
That's not a background saver? A screen saver?
You can see it's over the date. If it is a background saver, it showed up over the date and wouldn't turn off anymore.
Oh,
It just got permanently ingrained in the screen. And she
You're
was from
feeling the energy from all of the devices and seeing it, but what about like you physically as a human being? Did you feel the energy?
Yeah, some of the circles would, and this is more subjective, but some of them would make you feel more elated and excited, and some of them kind of had a weird feeling like you didn't want to be there. So they have different feelings to them. Some of them feel kind of charged, and some of them feel kind of draining. So your body, subjectively, I'm just saying, you would sort of feel something like this. But these technologies that we have, they don't do this. I've never seen this type of thing happen anywhere else, except where does this sort of thing happen? UFO encounters and Bigfoot encounters.
Oh.
Cryptid encounters.
Imagine that.
That's what really got my attention with
different.
Bigfoot and the cryptids, is people were reporting the same thing with their cameras and batteries and car batteries around Bigfoot sightings, watches, things like this. To connect Bigfoot to crop circles, that was like, wow, how is that? If they're not related in some way, why is it happening? So here's an example of someone's watch that stopped working properly. There's a compass built in, but when we were in a crop circle near Avebury, Wiltshire area, and Avebury has this oldest stone circle in the UK, or one of the largest stone circles, I should say, and oldest, built by, Neolithic peoples. And we were near that, and he said that his compass was no longer pointing north anymore, which, again, is something Ron had told me had happened in 94 in this particular circle. In this circle here, and this is in Dark Matter Monsters, this circle here, Avebury Truslow in 94, that Ron... this is where he had a space-time slip. He went out of the circle, encountered people speaking a medieval English, and they seemed weird to him. They were shorter and dressed in a different type of clothing. And then he felt like he was gone for half an hour to an hour, but when he got back, everyone said he'd only been gone for 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That is one example. But then around Silbury Hill area, so this is the fellow actually that experienced that watch incident. It's the same watch. But Ron also experienced it in this formation. Where is it?
But Simeon, remind us what book you're referring to.
Oh, this is my own book.
Right. Which one? Although
This is
the
my
newest
latest.
one.
Yes, thanks. This is Dark Matter Monsters. And
Okay.
I have a chapter on crop circles just because you have ball lightning and strange magnetic effects like you do around cryptids, which again is sort of what makes me think there's another type of energy similar to all these systems, dark matter. It's my idea about it. Dark matter networks, which we know permeate our universe, even though you can't see them, they're everywhere. Just like the mycelial networks that you had in that comment a few moments ago. I'm just making a video for YouTube about that. Even on Star Trek, the recent versions, Discovery, they have these mycelial spore drive net.
Right. You said
warp
that
drives.
last week. Yeah.
I mentioned that. Yeah. So we have these fungal networks throughout the soil. And I was just reading about this in Science Magazine this morning. 50% of soil is these mycelial networks, but you can't see them. They're tiny, microscopic. They connect all the roots of plants and they exchange carbon and nitrogen. There's like a whole underground economy, literally an underground economy between fungi and trees and plants. They were here long before us. They broke rocks up and turned it into soil, which is why we're here at all. So they're so essential to life. And they're kind of like their own dark matter network. They reach everywhere, but you can't see them with the eye. And it's sort of like dark matter is like that, but it comes from the cosmos and it's always streaming down on the Earth, the relic neutrinos. You can't see them. You can't even measure them directly. You can measure them indirectly. They have a gravitational effect and they're lensed around gravitational objects. So my idea is that there must be some sort of connection because dark matter is known to accelerate electromagnetic interactions, these neutrinos. So they're probably affecting us in ways we don't expect. And of course, it's invisible. It's like these cryptids are a lot of the time. What I wanted to show you was this. Hey, why can't I? Well, it was another formation that Ron was in. I know it's in here somewhere. That's really weird. It's a time slip. It's my own book, and it's not in there. Ron was in another circle, and he said his compass started spinning around. So it's another type of magnetic effect. So the really weird thing about this was we found out that people were making many of these circles, but their circles still would have the same effects as the ones that were less explainable. And UFOs and strange phenomena are associated with making these, well, simple circles. I mean, I've talked to witnesses. I mentioned in the Black Swan Ghost site, there's a woman I met who saw a flying disc over Usk, Washington with her brother flatten a meadow as it left. 90 degrees, just like we see in crop circle. The planets is bent over. So they are associated. UFOs are associated with circles. But the big thing that we were surprised is we were eventually invited to see it's in Opening Minds, to see a circle being made by human circle makers. And it was very surprising that their circle would affect we got to see this guy, Matt Williams, who made many circles, who approached us and said, hey, would you like to see a legal one made in the daytime for an internet ad, an R and an S? Would you like to see how we do this? And I mean, it's the daytime. It was sort of small. It didn't look like these other ones, but they did a pretty good job. And we saw them using ropes and boards and all this. But later we realized the same people were making these because we got to know them better. And I got to go out at night with them. And their circles affected our static meter just like that R formation did. It literally made the static meter move around.
Is it because of the geometric patterns and shapes and all of the things that they're creating?
Yes, I think so. I think it's the shape, and I think they're based on fractal geometry, and they're organizing some sort of energy.
Right.
My theory about it is they're organizing dark matter because we know it's streaming into the Earth all the time in their spiral shapes. And there's evidence that spiral and fractal shapes can concentrate static charges. This comes from Russian research. And it can keep concentrating that static until you get ball lightning and orbs. And that is the formation that showed me that was true. This is the Devil's Den formation from 1999. And that formation literally affected 3 electronic devices in the space of half an hour. It first affected the fellow I was with, Masao Maki, a restaurant owner here in Boulder, but I didn't meet him in Boulder. I met him in the UK. I met him at the top of a hill at 1 a.m. in the morning while we were both up there looking for orbs. And he just happened to be camping up there. And we just started talking. He had a tent and he was a researcher, but my office was a block from his restaurant and I had never been there. Can you believe it? Or if I had, I didn't know it was him, the owner, co-owner, Masao Maki. So he had written these books about crop circles. His camcorder got affected as we walked into this. That's a black and white drawing of it. It was only called the Devil's Den. It was near these Celtic dolmens. Yeah, it's fractal because, and that's a shot that he took of me around one of, you can see how you can even feel the energy from the photo.
It has movement.
Yes, it has movement and it has directionality. And I'm pretty sure that any relic neutrinos, dark matter, and I did look it up even 20 years ago, that dark matter, even dark energy, is always coming into the earth. That it's organizing it. What's that?
That's not necessarily new, but no. I guess it's new to be talked about more often. Yeah,
just that we talk about it all, because I used to think dark matter, dark energy were things way out in the cosmos, but no, it's and Parkhomov's book, Space Earth Human, Alexander Parkhomov, goes into this in great detail, how dark matter interacts with cells and biology and radioactive processes and stuff. He built these dark matter telescopes to funnel it and channel it. And he saw that based on time of day, position of the Earth, these experiments would change in ways that had no conventional explanation unless something was streaming to the Earth from outside, which is very interesting. None of us were brought up to believe in this. The closest we were taught about this was astrology, which we're taught isn't real. And I don't, I'm not a believer in astrology, but this is getting close, because this is saying the position of the planets do matter because it affects dark energy flows. So my idea with the crop circles, and this is sort of an article I wrote about it 10 years ago, guys, which I think, hey, I sort of was on the right track. I can't prove this. These are just ideas. But why else would these spiraling circles create energy? I mean, what are they concentrating? There's energy. They can concentrate static charges. And once these particles cluster and lens and focus, they can start affecting your electronics and cameras and so forth. That's my idea of why it happens. That's the GPS device that a fellow named Rob Spate, he came in to the Devil's Den formation. Maki and I were sitting there. We were actually in that circle, that photo a few seconds ago where you see me at the center of one of the small circles. So Rob comes in and his GPS device goes out, and it was one of these devices that shows you how many hours of battery life you had left. And he said, we had 14 hours of battery life when we came in, and the batteries are just hot and there's no energy left. Can you imagine that? You just walk in, boom. My static meter stopped working as soon as I walked into this formation. It just froze on a number and it wouldn't move again. Till I took out the batteries, put them back in, same thing, it just froze. So here you had 3 devices going on the fritz in a half an hour around a crop circle. An interesting thing is you're looking at these photos. It has a feeling of energy just looking at it. Mm-hmm. So I believe that there is an energy to these patterns. And just like you're saying, AJ, and this is super controversial. I've taken a lot of criticism for this belief, but I think the man-made ones are real in as far as that they're focusing and lensing energy, just like anyone who made it, whether it's an ET craft or ball lightning. There are examples of some that do seem like they're created by vortices, mini tornadoes. I've been around in the UK when you got these little mini tornadoes around you that whip through the field. And those could create some of these. I mean, here's an example of one that looks like it's just not human made. It has that weave to it, like it's a radial lay, which means it splays out from the center. You see the way it sort of seems like it's falling against the edge, and it's not a perfect circle. That doesn't look man-made to me. That looks like something else, like a wind, a vortices, a mini tornado did it. Mm-hmm. But the take-home message from all this was so different. This is why you have to keep an open mind. I had thought, like we had heard at these conferences over the years, that the man-made ones were hoaxes. They were fake. And there were the original phenomena, which were the real ones. And that anything humans did was just a hoax or fake. But once I got to know these circle makers, including Matt Williams, who, by the way, he was arrested for making one. He gave someone the pattern ahead of time, and then he did it in the field. But the person he gave the pattern to gave it to the police as evidence.
Oh,
and he got arrested because this person had said humans cannot make 7-sided circles. Only an ET could do that. It's impossible because it's not symmetrical. So Matt gave him this pattern the night before, and then he went out with his group and did it. And it was given to the police, and there was like evidence. You had the pattern ahead of time. And
is that why you said that he had the other one approved? Like he has to get a permit to do them?
Well, when we would do it, we would pay the farmers. We would find farmers, and it's time consuming. You'd go there, and they would want about £500, which would be about $700 in those days to make one of these. But we thought it was worth it for the research value. Mm-hmm. And we did learn that ours affected our static meter, created effects, and people would go into them and feel like things were happening. We had examples of camera and battery failure. There's some slides of that in a second that you can show, those weird looking photos where it seemed to affect our cameras. But what we learned was that so this was one we made in Kansas. We had permission to make a small one, even our small one. Look, this is film from a Nikon camera. That is typical of dark matter charge clusters. It's known from Russian research that these charge clusters are attracted to film. They can record it, and that's what I think you're looking at here. Fluxes of dark matter. Mm-hmm. Literally, you're seeing it reflected in the film because we did not see this with our eyes. It just looked like a field. All the frames of this were strange. All of them looked like this. And that camera never did this again, and it never did it before. It was an expensive professional camera that didn't leak light. So this is an example of another tourist we had at East Kennet, and there she's from Vermont, and there her camera goes on the fritz. I mean, I've just seen this so many times. Either the photos come out strange and blurry, which is indicative, as we talked last time, about changes in the electric constant of space, what's called permittivity. And keep in mind, I am not an engineer or physicist. I mean, I'm a sociologist, stats guy by training, but I got to learn some of these terms. It's indicative of something in the space changing to get that blurriness. And the electronics failure even Nikola Tesla experienced this around his pulse discharge generators and so forth. I mean, he blew out the generators, I think, in Colorado Springs, one time downtown Manhattan. Anyone that's worked in this area of technology has experienced this. And this is because you're getting dark matter induced charge clusters, which American inventor Ken Shoulders talked about. Many researchers have, John Hutchinson from Canada, Winston Bostic from Princeton, many people, Stevens Institute of Technology. Bostic was from, he was one of the universities in New Jersey. Stevens Institute of Technology. I was thinking about Princeton because Princeton has a plasma physics lab that's been in place there for a long time. It's indicative of some very interesting effects going on here. Again, this Australian tourist, we're in the Eastfield, famous location, Eastfield for crop circles. They would show up every year there, big field. And his camera just went out. just while I was there. Here's an example of an object.
That is pretty intense looking.
Yeah, now this is an example of how people can get involved. I was up there with the researcher Linda Moulton Howe on Woodborough Hill. And we saw this over this Kennett area where a circle showed up a pattern. It's not a circle, it's a crop formation. And it turns out that object was launched by the TV crew from Nippon TV. Because the people that created it told us that the film crew said it would be good to have a UFO over the crop circles. And they put some balloons with luminous sticks, helium balloons with luminous sticks inside, and created this. And I mean, if you know anything about network TV, they will script these things. They need a UFO to show up. They will produce it if it doesn't show up on its own, right? So this is an example of how you could see something and be a little fooled. It does sort of look like balloons, doesn't it? And because it is, guys, it is. So, I mean, it's kind of complex and all sorts of things happen. But what we realized is like the pattern you're seeing on the screen right now, that probably, I don't know who made this, but that type of thing is what people would design. And we got to know them. They were really talented graphics artists. But here's what I want to say. They didn't see these as hoaxes. They saw it, they called it natural magic because they would experience weird things as they made them themselves. They would experience small UFOs coming over, black triangles, small, even balls of light coming over the formations as they made them, in some cases running away from the fields. It would scare them out of the field. So they experienced their own strange phenomena. Again, echoing your point, AJ, that it's the shape and the pattern, which a lot of people find hard to believe. They just can't imagine people could do this, but we're part of nature too, right?
Oh, I totally believe that. When I make crystal grids, it's not just the energy of the crystals, it's the actual formations that you put them in, the energy that they transmute. I just really think there's something to be said about patterns.
Well, right.
And geometry.
Right. That sacred geometry, and there's reasons why it's been around, and there's different energies that come with it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, Natalie. We know this. And people were so rigid, and we started to call them crop Nazis or crop Taliban, because they were literally, they would say, Simeon, we like you, but we won't let you talk at our conference anymore if you're saying what I'm saying to you guys now. I'm telling you, I was literally told you're out if you keep this line of inquiry up. And I was out. Never got invited to this.
If we ever have a seminar or any kind of expo, you're invited.
Oh, thanks, guys, because it's pretty painful to be told that by other researchers that you respected, that actually turned you on to the topic in the earlier years. And you pursued it, but you found a different conclusion than they did. And they're so rigid. You thought these were very open-minded, new age people. And we used to have lunches and dinners together, 20 of us at a time. And it was like amazing energy to think that you were discovering something like this, only to have them turn on you because you said the man-made ones were real. And they found that so important. But guys, it's actually a little worse than that.
Oh,
some of them knew it was man-made, but they didn't want to share it because the business was so good. The conferences.
I was actually going to bring that up. Are you sure that was their true intention behind that? I think when people start speaking truth, there you go. They were making money every year, making calendars.
Lots and lots of money. I don't feel resentment towards these people. They promoted it. They got the world interested. They organized conferences. They created calendars, things like this. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. I love these crop circle calendars, but when I talked to them years later, they told me they wanted to know what I knew about these man-made circles. And then they said, well, we knew they were man-made the whole time.
So you were just, you were calling them out. They don't like that.
But they would never say that in public. It was too good for business, but whatever. It's still all real. And this is what we found, is that the man-made ones were just as real. Like both of you are saying, I started thinking of these as liquid crystals. Because the wheat is like a liquid in a sense. It's not completely solid because it's movable. It flows. and it's crystalline, just like the liquid crystals in our computer displays here, which have movable pixels based on the current that comes in. They form colors. These are like liquid. You know that chapter in Opening Minds, I called it liquid landscapes. It's like they're semi-liquid and they form shapes that could change. And that has an energy to it. And the proof is all our cameras and batteries failing. This is a beautiful picture. I should say this is by Colin Andrews. You saw him earlier.
I'm wondering, the science behind the water when you talk to it and it creates different formations. Do you feel like that could also be a possibility?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different matter. It's not water, but it's
like
energy.
Yes. It's when you create, now this is a phi ratio spiral, golden spiral, golden mean spiral.
Right.
Ratio of 1.618 to 1 all the way. And you know that your body's shaped around the shape, and many things in nature, like your inner ear and your heart.
Yes, I'm curvy just like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're shaped around it. What was that? What did you say?
I was just being a smart ass. I was just saying I'm curvy just like that.
Curvy.
You're a curvy it's actually women are more closely related to golden section than men.
Mm-hmm.
And even Leonardo da Vinci knew this.
I learned that in art class.
No, right. We're all shaped around this golden mean spiral, but women even more so. And so living things are shaped around that spiral, and it seems to have a frequency to it. In my mind now, it would have a frequency of channeling dark matter and dark energy. But yes, it gives us our shape, and women, curviness and so forth, that golden spiral. But it's essential in nature, in our reality, that particular ratio. So to go back to your question, AJ, it seems to me that objects and things that are shaped around the golden spiral would affect everything that's around them, like that water and so forth. Water has a superconducting state. It's called easy water. And a researcher named Gerald Pollack from Washington University in Seattle has talked about easy water. It's a state of water where the viscosity seems to go way down, and there's like a superflow. It just flows much more efficiently than ordinary water. And that seems to be a similar effect to what we've been talking here about charge clusters and so forth, creating a type of coherency. And I think that's what the real message here is, that these plant shapes can create a type of coherency where you get this type of not only energies, but telepathic types of phenomena. And the reason I'm saying that is there was a case of someone on one of Ron's tours or I think it was earlier in the year than I got there, in July or June 97, who was in one circle. And I have it somewhere in here. She was in one circle and she had another image in her mind show up, and it showed up the next day. Exactly what she saw.
Wow.
I love stories.
So it's almost like there's something that, look at this. Here's an example. A Japanese tourist took this picture. Look how that
energy
pollen is organized into like a DNA spiral in the center of the circle. Pollen.
Wow.
And this woman saw this with her eyes before she took the picture. It's an example, exactly what you said a few moments ago, that these shapes can organize matter, right? These phi ratio based spirals can organize pollen. They can organize water. We know spirals are very important. The whole idea behind ball lightning and orbs, like we talked about last time, is actually based on these spiral type shapes, but not just one spiral. Just like Da Vinci knew that turbulence was made of mini vortices, like fractal in the sense of vortices at different scales, building up to one big vortice, but it wasn't just one thing. It was made of lots of little vortices. The fractal idea. That is what is going on here. once you have that fractal vortices, you end up with charge clusters, ball lightning, exotic vacuum objects, and dark matter organization, and a lot more energy going on like we see in tornadoes. You know, the power of tornadoes exceeds what ordinary science says they should be able to do. They're a lot more powerful than just a big vacuum cleaner. I mean, you see them lifting up semis and trailers. I mean, way up in the air. I mean, it's huge amounts of power. Some researchers think that's because they're organizing more than just the air. It's more than just a vacuum system. There's other types of energy, dark matter being organized by the vortices, by the turbulence. I mean, this is literally the basis for cold fusion, low energy nuclear reaction, and many other sorts of phenomena, including comets. The strange streamers that come out of comets that conventional scientists will say, oh, it's a volcano on the comet. Well, come on, it's not like the comet's that complex. It's got volcanoes. It doesn't have plate tectonics and stuff. That is condensed matter streaming out of there, forming plasmas and so forth. It's the same sort of phenomena. You just see it in different places, tornadoes. It forms these string-like filaments that come out. And I think you're seeing it here. I mean, if someone has a better explanation for this, how a circle could organize pollen into a spiral. Art Bell asked me this question a long time ago when I was on with him in the 90s, talking about, he said, if you put smoke above a drawing of a crop circle, would it form a spiral? I've actually never done the experiment. Someone should do it and find out if Art was right. I think he had the right idea.
Oh, he was onto a lot of things. I think that would be worth experimenting to see.
I agree.
Is this your?
I am just trying to find out this
with?
drawing here. Let's see if I can find the drawing. Oh, yeah. Okay. 1 sec. This is Stace Tussel's drawing of, she was in this formation that we called the Goddess Formation, which is this formation here. It just looked like this 3-part formation. She's in that formation and she sees this in her mind's eye. And then the next day it shows up. She did not know the circle makers. This is 97. Look at that.
That's crazy.
It's like,
it's so amazing how connected everything truly is.
It's like they're parallel realities of the past and the future. And somehow the circle is capable of creating a bridge.
Right. There was actually a quick, go ahead.
No, go ahead, guys.
There was a question in the chat room. It was quite earlier. Why not remote view these mysteries?
Well, we did.
That feels like a similar.
No, it's a good question. It's just that you always need some sort of feedback. Again, this is what prompted me to go to the circles in the first place, was a remote viewing session. Right. You're getting energies and spirals. You don't know what it means. And here, years later, we know more about it. You can get things in an RV session that you don't know how to interpret. And so it's limited by your vocabulary and your understanding. So you still need to go doing your research.
Right.
That picture you showed a few seconds ago, that was one of our groups in front of Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill being the oldest and largest earth mound in Europe. That's a man-made hill behind them.
Oh, really?
Yep. And this is one of our groups, I think, from 2009, way back. When we did these things before COVID. That was an all-European group. That group was a lot of fun. Everyone there was from Europe, not from the U.S., just random luck of the draw. Another picture of Silbury Hill. This field where you're taking the pictures from, though, has been associated with a lot of strange events. And in Black Swan Ghosts, I have a story about Paul and Sonia who were camping right on top of that hill before they banned camping up there.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing
to be about there on that hill.
Yes, they were camping up there, but it was terrifying because they said this weird feeling came over the area about 11 p.m. and a fog showed up on that road down there right between this field and Silbury Hill, the A4 highway, which was actually initially built by the Romans thousands of years ago to connect Glastonbury with London, or the west coast of England with Cornwall with London. It's a very straight road. And Anyway, they're camped up there and they see a fog show up, and then these lights appear right where I'm taking the picture from and come down towards them hill and then start coming up the hill. And just when a car showed up, one of the orbs went behind a bush. The car it went by was a crop circle researcher named Paul Weige, who's no longer with us here physically. He's passed on. And he told us about driving by Silbury Hill one night and a pea soup fog showed up. He had told us he had never met Paul and Sonia. They only approached me because I did a radio interview there with Matt Williams. We saw his picture a few minutes ago making the R. Mm-hmm. They had seen a car show up and a ball of light come out from behind a bush and follow the car. Paul had told us that this is exactly what happened. He approached a wall of fog and a ball of light came out from behind a bush and followed his car for a couple miles. And yet Paul and Sonia told me, and they didn't know who Paul Weige was. So it's one of the cases doing good ground field research on the ground where you encounter separate witnesses who observed the same thing. And now it's true that Paul did encounter an orb. It's associated with these areas. And it just means there's a lot we don't know. Even one step farther in this story, Colin Andrews, and I showed you his picture a few minutes ago when he was with our group and his camera fails. We were with him in that field, and he said that he was at a conference once in Washington, D.C., and someone from the intelligence community's wife came up to him and says, my husband wants to tell you something, but you need to go outside and he'll meet you outside, or something like that. You can't go up to him. He has to come up to you. So what Colin, and he told this story to our group, so I feel okay sharing it with all of you. He said that this guy told him that the U.S. intelligence community had been monitoring that field across from Silbury Hill, where I'm taking the picture from, because it was a known portal area.
Really? Oh, portals.
And there was a particular species of ET that came out of that field.
Oh my gosh.
Who had a base in the North Sea. And this is what someone from the U.S. government tells Colin is going on in that field, and that it was under surveillance 24/7 somehow. I've never seen anything out there that would corroborate that, but there are satellites and things. So here we have another piece of evidence that field is a portal. We know these things exist, right? Skinwalker Ranch and Marley Woods and Missouri. Yeah, these places. Well, here's another one. And yet Paul and Sonia are telling me they saw orbs emerge out of the field with these little beings sitting in a lotus position in these orbs as it drifted down the field. At first, they thought they had to be cars, but they're coming slowly over the field. So Paul Weige, Paul and Sonia, and now Colin tells us that someone from the intelligence community, which doesn't seem so far-fetched now that we're having hearings in D.C. about UAP, UFOs, right? Balloons, whatever else they're shooting down this week. Maybe it was weather balloons after all. But the thing is, now you have three pieces of evidence around the same location where Ron had his compass spinning in a circle right next to Silbury Hill. The pieces start to come together. Now, this is what happens after years of research. It takes that long to put these pieces together, but it's worth it because you really see this is really real stuff. And maybe what's going on, we're not being told about it. They're actually monitoring an area like they monitor Skinwalker, right? Defense Intelligence Agency, that book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. They literally have covert programs going on out there. And this area is another one that they're monitoring remotely. It's not U.S. soil, but we're told it's a portal. And you've got Paul and Sonia's story. They said, Paul and Sonia told me it was the most terrifying night of their lives. And I think part of it has to do with what we've talked about around cryptids and Bigfoot, the types of changes to space-time that occur when these phenomena come into your area. They change the fundamental magnetic and electric constants, affect our batteries, cameras, but it can create a sense of confusion. This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Something that you might forget about because it's so weird, feeling space-time change around you. But this is what Paul and Sonia told me. There were other people up there on the hill with them, and they couldn't wake them up. Teenagers, they tried to wake them up. They were like, you hear about these cases of UFO sightings where some people won't wake up. it was like this. They couldn't wake them up, these kids. They were just so sound asleep. And yet here they are seeing lights come up in this real weird darkness. Anyway, it's just consistent with these other phenomena. And again, it's just suggests to us we're either around parallel realities or things that act like parallel realities, or things that can just manifest seemingly out of the field, a wheat field.
What would be the point of the crop circles, though? Man-made or not man-made? Like, what is the intention behind these patterns?
Well, I would imagine the original intention, if there is intention behind the original phenomena, going back decades before people got involved, at least the people we know. I mean, it's definitely a way to stir human imagination, is to put coherent patterns in a field of plants that are normally just all the same, and all of a sudden they're organized in a pattern. So it is a way you would get attention of people. And then there's a book going back years called it studies these going back years called The Secret History of Crop Circles by Terry Wilson. It's not in print anymore, but I got a copy. And he talks about these going back decades, 100 years ago. So perhaps it's nature's way of just maybe underlying everything we see around us every day. There's coherency and intelligence, and it shows up. It shows up in areas you don't expect it to show up. In fields where the plants have been mechanically planted, all kind of the same,
right?
Destined to be eaten, and yet nature says we're going to add in a little more than you expected, just like it does with all these other phenomena that we call paranormal. It adds something in you didn't expect. It throws a wrench in the gears. And then humans come along and see these and say, well, maybe we could do it too. I mean, I have to tell you, all these groups I met that made these.
Of course, humans say that.
Yeah, they said, can we do it too? They didn't know who made them. And they thought, the first groups I met, one of these circle makers said he started as a teenager. He had to ask his parents for permission to go out at night. And they'd made them by rolling in the ground with their bodies, just rolling. And they didn't know how to do it. And then the media helicopter showed up, the media crop circles, and they got attention. So as teenagers are wont to do, they said, let's make more. Let's make them bigger. And they started getting bored. And they were I think they did it very innocently. And then they noticed these orbs showing up. Strange phenomena, watches stopping, just odd things. And that convinced them that there was not all the groups believe this, by the way, but the ones I met were convinced there was something extra going on there. So they kept making them bigger. And then people like me showed up and we saw our cameras and watches. And the media never really caught on. They would just say, is it fake or is it real? And a lot of researchers just were in this artificial mindset where it had to be one or the other. But you two obviously understand there can be a blend. It's just more complex. And that's what we found. It's quite complex, but it really created interesting energies. And then by the time I recently talked to Bigfoot witnesses in Colorado who told me, oh, my battery stopped working around the Bigfoot. Cameras, car wouldn't start.
Same experience.
You hear this around. I mentioned Carter Bouchard in his second book, Evidence of an Enigma, Part 2. He mentions how their cars wouldn't start, but as soon as the cameras wouldn't work, as soon as they went in another area, they were working fine again. But both their cameras wouldn't work in this area. Yeah, I said, wait a minute. This is the same thing. It has to be an underlying principle, which in my feeling is the very basic electric and magnetic constants, which we assume are the same, but they're not always the same. And these are called, the late William Tiller called these conditioned spaces. Conditioned spaces. They've been conditioned by intention, like you're saying, AJ, intention, patterns, and other energies, perhaps dark matter, as I speculate, coming in, being swirled and organized and concentrating. So they're spaces that are non-ordinary. And I think it's a mind blower that they could be created in wheat by a bunch of teenagers who just started by rolling around, but they were following their instinct. They were curious. They got tired of waiting up there on the hills in the rain for something to happen, and the mist, and it's cold in the summer there. They got tired. Like, maybe we can make something happen. That's how we're all kind of like this. They received a lot of hostility because people wanted them to. Well, maybe it was these researchers who realized it would affect their bottom line if the word got out. But
maybe so.
It's obviously, you can see it's a little more complex with that. But I think the end result is really interesting, and that it connects to these other phenomena is still something that blows me away every day.
I love that you're still researching all of this, even like after all of these years. You've been doing this for quite some time, and it's still just as interesting, and you're still not having like complete resolution and answers to it. There's always something to learn.
There is always more to learn, and we're learning that we're surrounded by other dimensions and other types of energies. But it is the human story, isn't it, to realize that there's always more than we knew.
Oh,
It's been going on through.
It's a song that never ends.
It doesn't end. And I think anyone who thinks this, you encounter people like this who think there's nothing left to discover. But we even know in physics that the so-called standard model, kind of boring name for it, isn't it, of weak force, strong force, electromagnetic, and gravity doesn't explain dark matter and dark energy.
Right.
So we know it's incomplete, and it doesn't explain certain properties of neutrinos, why they're only left-handed while there should be both symmetries, something that Paul Dirac discovered 100 years ago. He won a Nobel Prize for discovering negative probabilities. And everyone said, oh, that can't exist. Just wash the math away. Paul Dirac said, no. I mean, the math shows from quantum, you should have negative probability. What is negative probability? Antimatter. And a couple years later, they discover antimatter in cosmic rays. And so he had predicted it. And so there's always more. So I would say the main thing is don't be surprised by what's coming over the next couple of years with this UFO investigations that our own government is now involved with. It's guaranteed they're going to discover things just like Dirac discovered negative probabilities. It doesn't totally make sense, but that's okay because it's a big universe, a big multiverse.
Right.
It doesn't
I don't know
have
if
to
it ever will.
It never will. I mean, because 500 years ago, people thought the Earth was the center, and then nothing moved beyond the moon. There was just they didn't even think these planets were anything. They thought they were big crystal spheres that just kind of a cool idea, that rotated around the Earth. That everything was around the Earth, and then you just had a king, and then the next step up from the king was God, and that was it. It was very simple, and I guess our egos liked that simplicity, but it didn't turn out to be true.
Yeah.
And why would it change? Oh, it's always 200 years ago. No one believed in meteorites. It was thought to be volcano stones. There were a couple scientists who argued they were extraterrestrial. Chladni and Biot, a French and a German physicist, both researchers, they call them natural philosophers, actually. And they said, no, they're coming from outside the atmosphere. And everyone said, no, that's peasant folklore. There's nothing outside the Earth's atmosphere. There's nothing could come here. Until one night over Eagle, France in 1804, a couple thousand meteorites fell in an elliptical pattern.
Surprise.
Which showed that they were coming from space. If they had been coming from volcanoes, they would have been scattered all over France. And they landed in a beautiful elliptical pattern. And that one event convinced all the scientists, yes, they're coming from the sky. So even meteorites could be controversial. But in my mind, I think what I've learned, from all my research is that humans have always been wrong when they said something's not possible. We've always been too limited.
We are way too limited.
It always turns out to be bigger. And I don't see why we can't accept it now that there's dark energy and dark matter and other life forms indigenous to the Earth that we call Bigfoot and cryptids that can become invisible. Even, just in our own bodies, we have the microbiome, just like the fungi. We don't have names for most of these things that live in us that do something important, but we don't really know what.
There's so much.
There's even our own bodies have dark matter. We call them microorganisms. They live on our skin and in our gut, and they do important things. At least they block out bad or bacteria, worse bacteria from colonizing
We've
your.
learned all about that this week.
So true.
Yes. You have.
Oh yeah, no, Natalie and I have just been from last week to this week we had a little bug, and so we've learned all about how amazing bodies are. But
So
it
this is what
really is
bigger.
fascinating. And we keep saying fascinating, but it
Well,
is. It really is to think we know so little. There's so much research and we still know so little. And there's so
Yeah.
many things we don't even know about. And
So
I just
many
think
things.
it's quite fascinating and quite amazing. And it's just all so cool. It's just cool. It's exciting. And your big, beautiful brain, whew, it's so good. We've enjoyed every single
Oh, thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed our conversations. Let's do it again sometime. And the main thing is people believe your experience over what you've been told. Your experience doesn't lie to you. If you're experiencing it, it's something there.
That's
Maybe
very
nobody
good.
told you, but that doesn't mean you're not going to find your meteorites that actually come from outer space. They didn't turn out to be volcano stones.
Right.
So true.
I wish we had more time. Here we are at the end of another show. For all of you who are interested, make sure you go over and visit New Crystal Mind. That way you can get your own signed copies of any or all of the books that Simeon has written, as well as I think you've got some good CDs on there too. And then visit mountbaldy.com. We're out of time, guys. So run over to those websites to learn more and to support. And again, thank you for 2 weeks of hanging out with us. It's been so wonderful. We'll definitely add you on the revisit list because you're just great to have around. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
stick
guys.
around while we wrap, okay? Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Wanderers. We really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Another great wandering.
Oh, yes.
I love it. I'm like high on happiness right now because it's just so good.
Right.
But we're out of time to talk about it. So
Darn
until
it,
next week, everyone, be good to yourself and be good to each other. We'll see you then.
Have a good one.